What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves. Hi, welcome to another great episode of the All Around. I am your gracious host, Dr. Anthony, and we have some amazing topics that we are going to discuss tonight. And before we get into those topics, let's go ahead and bring out my producer, Mark Lee, so he can go ahead and join me and let's converse on some of these things. Hi, how are you? How was your weekend?
I'm doing good. Had a good conversation. We had an author that wrote a book on the secret lives of church women or something like that was here at the Hayti Center. So she was talking about the importance of food and how you got to have the right food. And sometimes people don't understand the food choices. And if you're not cooking it the way they want you to cook it, then sometimes your family will let you know. And all along those lines. And being a Louisiana lady, I'm sure that you can relate to that because that was part of what Daisha Filial's book was talking about, which is also talking about how within this book, how sometimes the church community doesn't always accept the things that we do. Because she was talking about how she was sent to church, but her mother and her grandmother were not necessarily accepted by the church because they were divorcees. And, the church doesn't always like divorcees, just so that, like they don't always like some people's orientation. So as she put it, I got sent to church. They didn't have to go to church, but they made sure that I went to church. And a part of that was the kind of relationship that exists with the church and people that have been divorced. And, that's very prominent sometimes in some of our Christian churches in our community. So she was talking about that. And then she talked about some of that gaming culture a little bit, but a whole lot around that food culture, because she was saying how she went off to college and she told her, I think, mom that she was cooking things Neapolitan style. And her mom was looking like, nah, that ain't what we call it over in these parts and everything. Because definitely, sometimes you get a little too fancy when you go off to college and all along those lines. So she was talking about that because I think this young lady's in her 50s or something like that. And then there was a birthday party. It was over here. And so that was fun. They were having a birthday party celebrating the young lady's 62nd on yesterday. And then we had our regular school thing, the Youth Arts Intensive, where they were learning dance and drumming and a number of other artistic things. And they even learned about genealogy. So understanding your family history and all of that. Earl was with our history museum here in North Carolina, did a presentation. He's a brother, so he gave them a lot of history and made sure that they were documenting their family history. Because as you know, we talked about on this show, sometimes we don't always document it, and then after the elders leave, we have forgotten their story. So sometimes it's good to document them, videotape them, and all along those lines. So that was some of the things that were going on here at the center. Of course, it was a good weekend, and now I'm back at measurement, which means I'm grading some of the kiddies as well with that standardized testing that started last week, and now I'm in day 3, I believe, of that testing that should be going on for several months and all in that space. So I get to do that at home remotely. So that is good when you can work from home remotely and all along those lines. So like I said, it's been a good week. Hope you've had a good week as well.
Yeah, went to the Patti LaBelle concert and enjoyed that. She, you can tell that she's getting older. She's 70. Enjoyed that over the weekend. Went out to eat with the family, with some cousins and friends, and that was pretty much it. Just prepare for today and prepare for work. And, like I said, was reading some things on what I wanted to discuss with you guys tonight, such as, like politics, millennials, the royal family, and things like that. So I'm going to start with the light stuff first. And I guess the millennials, and then we'll end it with the politics and Democrats and Republicans and things like that or whatever. So on the news, the royal family has a TikTok, and for all of those that are in digital world, if you guys are not following me, make sure you click like, share, and follow. I have my own show called All Around, and we're hosted in over 20 different countries in 20 different languages. So I'm on live with TikTok you click like, share, follow, and so you can get, you know, my opinion on certain things and my thoughts on things that's happening throughout the world and throughout the nation. So with the royal family, it has come to our attention that King Charles has been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and so the article stated that Prince Harry was notified personally by King Charles, and he should be going back into the UK either this week or early next. You know, go and have conversations with his father. But you know, my thing is the people of the UK. You know, they would rather this man suffer, be broke because he's married to a white woman instead of accepting the things that they have, you know, that they have gone through. And my concern is, you know, when people are telling them that their reality and their lived experiences are not their reality and not their lived experience. You know, my thing is, how can you tell somebody that they wasn't discriminated against? Somebody else made them feel. How can you tell them that, you know, what they experienced is not valid? You know, and so I have a major concern with that. But now, you know, the father is sick now. Oh, you want him to come back. You want them to step up as royals, but when they were there, you treated Meghan so poorly. And, you know, they're trying to paint her as like they always do, Black women, as a mean, angry Black woman who's attitudinal and, you know, who's difficult and who's hard to work with. And that's that narrative. As Black women, we can't, you know, show emotion. We can't show that we disagree with things. We can't show that we're upset. We can't show that, you know, we're angry. We always have to be termed that angry Black woman. If, you know, if we do show those type of emotions, then it's a negative because they're trying to humble us. They're trying to silence us. They're trying to, you know, remove our voice so our voices are not heard. So that's the same thing with Meghan and Prince Harry. You know, they love the fact, they don't love the fact that he's married to a Black woman. And, you know, to me, that is totally insane because the royal family had a great opportunity to capitalize off of Meghan and Prince Harry's marriage to show that they're moving up to date, that they're in the new world, that they're, you know, aware of what's going on. But instead, they chose to be racist, and they're still being racist. You know, and for the simple fact is, Prince Edward is a pedophile. You know, is deemed a pedophile, but you'd rather deal with. Says a lot. Mark.
No, that does say a lot. And like you said, a lot of times people are making statements. I know that we also had yesterday the Grammys, and a number of things happened at the Grammys as well. I understand that Jay-Z made some comments and asked people to speak out on issues, and all along those lines, as he was being honored. I believe it was with a Dr. Dre type award and all along those lines, but he was asking people to speak their truth and everything. But, you know, there was also an incident, and I don't know if you want to get to this or not, but apparently, because a friend of mine brought it to my attention, because I didn't watch the Grammys, I saw clips after the Grammys of some of the great performances, including Tracy Chapman, who I've always been a fan of, and all along those lines. But I understand that there was a popular hip-hop artist who won 3 Grammys and then got detained by the police and all along those lines. And he actually has a reaction to that. But apparently Killer Mike was arrested at the Grammys after winning 3 Grammys. So I don't know if we want to get into this and watch what happened, because I do have a clip of it and even his reaction to it as well. But I did see that was taking place, and we can get to it or not. Your show is your choice. But I did see that, and that kind of come to that notion of do we give our entertainers the voice that they need?
Well, I mean, the thing about it is you have to give everybody the voice that they deserve. You know, you can't speak for somebody. You can't have somebody you can't tell somebody what their lived truth is, what their lived experiences are, and what they have, you know, what they have gone through. You cannot narrate somebody's story. For example, when Cat Williams came out and he said what he said, and people are like, I don't know how Shannon Sharpe cannot shut a grown man out. Shannon Sharpe cannot tell a grown man what his lived experiences are. Shannon Sharpe cannot tell a grown person what, you know, how another person made them feel or how another person treated them. And like Cat Williams said, if you wanted me to speak highly of you, you should have treated me better. And that's the thing. And I noticed that even in my own personal experience, in my own personal life, that, you know, people want to talk crazy to you. They want to say whatever they want to say to you. But the second that you say something back, oh, you're the the angry Black woman. Oh, you're the one that's attitudinal. But, you know, as long as I was allowing you to talk crazy to me, to talk down to me, to demean me, it was no problem. But the second that I stood up for myself, oh, then, you know, everybody has something to say. But I tell everybody all the time, I'm going to speak my truth. I'm going to say what I have to say. I'm going to, you know, narrate my own story. You would not narrate my story and things like that. And also with, you know, like Jay-Z with Beyonce. Beyonce is the greatest. She is one of the greatest.
Yep.
Accolades from the Grammys. And so I don't blame Beyonce for not performing. They reached out to her, wanted her to perform, but it wasn't happening. You know, y'all slighted her with two white artists, you know, years in a row, and y'all still haven't given this woman her just due justice and things like that or whatever. So I don't blame Jay-Z for speaking up for his wife and saying what he said, and, you know, putting people on blast. You know, they need to step up, you know, and that's another thing that shows about mediocre white women. Not saying that white women are not talented or whatever, but, you know, we have to be 110 times better than the average white woman just to get some type of, you know, recognition and, you know, some type of clout and things like that or whatever, in a world that we have already dominated and we have already, you know, represented against or whatever. Go ahead, Mark.
No, but along those same lines, and this is not the first time, because I was actually on another show here on the network earlier, and it came to my attention, and I was reading about a artist that I have a great deal of respect for, and I think that she is an amazing artist in the sense of being a great drummer. Maybe not the greatest vocalist in the world, but her vocals aren't that bad and everything. But she was saying that there is a major event that was celebrated back in, I believe it was 1985 or something along those lines, that they have now made a movie about called We Are the World. And I know we all remember that back when Michael Jackson and others were living. And Sheila E. said that the reason that she was invited was because that they were trying to get Prince, and she was going to be the inroads to Prince, and Prince actually chose, just like you were talking about, modern day artists chose not to get involved. He chose not to be involved in We Are the World and everything. And one of our own network founders said he was watching the documentary, and apparently a conversation between Michael Jackson and some of the other founders of that particular song, including Stevie Wonder and others, it was supposed to be a all African-American event that was going to be talking about apartheid and a number of other issues. But like you have said several times, sometimes when people see how big it's going to be, how successful it's going to be, then they chose to get involved, because apparently We Are the World was originally supposed to be an African-American project, but we know that the Beatles and others got involved later. But the original project, as it was originally composed and designed, was supposed to be celebration of African-American music and the African-American causes.
Well, not only just a celebration of African American and Black music, it was supposed to combat, you know, world AIDS and touch upon, you know, all those things that, you know, Black Americans and Black people were dealing with. So yes, it was supposed to be, you know, an all event, but like you said, other people got involved, and that goes back to, you know, white women, you know, invading Black spaces when they're not, you know, supposed to or whatever, but they want to invade Black spaces anyway and put themselves in, you know, in something when we, you know, all we want is a Black space to, you know, be safe, to talk up, to say our piece, to address, you know, like Black issues. But quite naturally, they always want to insert themselves in something that we have going on. And, you know, it goes back to, you know, like the Black and White with Megan and even Nara Smith, this entertainer. She's a model and she's a TikToker and things like that or whatever. But because she's Black, she's half Black, then they have a problem with her being married to a white man. But again, you know, they're trying to change her narrative. They're trying to change her voice, just like with Megan. They're trying to change her narrative, trying to change her because she's Black, because, you know, Black women are worthy of being, you know, accepted and being loved by their mates and being loved by whomever, you know, they're in a relationship with and things like that. And, you know, even Beyonce said it herself. She says, you know, as a Black woman, it's a challenge when you're dealing with people of other races, when they don't want to take your opinion, when they don't want to hear what you have to say, when they just lie to your face purposely and, you know, not do what yes, but you're right or whatever. But at the same time, we're always labeled as, the angry Black woman, the person with, an attitude and, things like that, whatever. But, like I said, it's about us having a voice, not only us as Black women, but Black people, period, having a voice. So before I go into another rant, let's go ahead and roll this tape about Killer Mike being arrested.
Yep.
Yes.
I can bring that up and everything. So let's check this out. And all along those lines and hear what Killer Mike had to say and about his own situation. So let's check.
And the Grammy goes to scientists and engineers, Killer Mike.
Yeah, the rapper won Best Rap Performance for Scientists and Engineers.
Hey! Hey!
It was the second Grammy win of his over 3-decade-long career.
Where's my old lady at? Where my wife at?
And Killer Mike wanted to celebrate this win on stage with his wife, Shayna.
Heard you guys clapping when they called my name, so I'm going to take my shades off. Thank you, and I hope it's not the last time I see you tonight.
It wouldn't be, because about 2 minutes later, Killer Mike was back on that stage.
And the Grammy goes to scientists and engineers. For all the people out there that think you get too old to rap, bullshit.
And the 48-year-old rapper was still wondering, where is the missus?
I called for her, but she didn't come. My wife is out there, Shayna. I want to say thank you so much.
Sorry, Shayna, we got to keep moving with these awards.
For Best Rap Album,
Killer Mike. Michael. Sweet. Atlanta is so sweet. You can't. God ain't good.
And guess who finally came running up on stage? Shayna.
You cannot tell me that you get too old. You can't tell me it's too late. You can't tell me dreams come true. It is a sweet. It is a sweet.
Now, what should have been a night of complete celebration and jubilation for Killer Mike, for Shayna, and for his crew, didn't exactly go that way. So we did see Killer Mike on camera again, but this time it was in handcuffs, as he wasn't escorted off the premises. No, he was escorted to a room that, it's kind of a security office that he could be spoken to. The LAPD eventually released a statement saying, at around 4 p.m., an individual was detained at the Crypto.com, this terrible name, arena, for physical altercation. The individual is currently being questioned. I cannot confirm the identity of the individual until the person has been charged. The investigation is ongoing. Atlanta Journal-Constitution reporter Gavin Godfrey tweeted at 8:31 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that he spoke to Killer Mike, me. Not sure what happened, but can't wait to hear your side of the story. Mike, overzealous security, but I'm good. Me, are you still detained or you're out enjoying the show? Mike, I'm good. 3 Grammy good. And yeah, Killer Mike is back on Twitter, thanking God at 8:02 p.m. Eastern and tweeting the video of his Grammy sweep at 9:01 p.m. Eastern. So I'm sure we'll be hearing more about this incident over the next couple of days. But what a whirlwind. That's a lot happening in like the span of, I guess, about 3 hours. Whew. Yeah, I'm happy that at least Mike got to go back to celebrating. And yeah, I really have enjoyed this moment because it was an incredible moment for him and his career. But yeah, what are your thoughts? And there's a lot to comment on, but go for it.
Not only do you have responsibility to yourself to be the best you can for yourself and for your family, you have an absolute responsibility to your culture to be the best.
So he was saying he's got to be the best that he can to his culture. And apparently he was detained. And apparently, and I do know because I've done events, that there can be overzealous security in some of these locations. And sometimes they can get a little gun happy and a little security happy. And not saying that you don't need security, because I've done events like the Blues Festival and some other cultural festivals that have tens of thousands, maybe not hundreds of thousands, but at least tens of thousands of people. And yes, but I have also seen that overzealous security. And you're up there in the Virginia, D.C. area, and you just came back from a Patti LaBelle concert. So I'm sure that in your travels, you have seen overzealous security as well.
I mean, there's always overzealous security, but my thing is, this is a time and a place. So apparently you didn't arrest the man. I mean, you didn't detain the man. You arrested him for what? You know what I'm saying? Because he looked like somebody, because somebody said he did something. And that's another thing, we don't get the benefit of the doubt. We don't get, innocent until proven guilty. We're guilty until proven innocent. And things like that or whatever. So, my thing is, if there was a situation, you should have, security wise, you should have handled that better, instead of putting this man in handcuffs in front of everybody and this going on national TV and, things like that. But of course, when it comes to us, they do what they want to do, and they want to, inflict embarrassment all the time upon, Black people, and just let you know that no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, you're not in a safe space. All right. So if you have anything else
Yeah, that was what I had and everything you had mentioned.
Millennials, we can go ahead and transition over to
Yeah,
the
we definitely had
millennials.
to the millennials. Okay.
And talk about these millennials. So the thing with the millennials is that they're not really wanting to vote. And they're saying that, they're not interested in, these long-term positions where, like we are, Gen X, Gen Z and things like that or whatever. We're different. We stick it out for the long haul and we're doing what we need to do in terms of our jobs. The millennials are willing to take a work-life balance. So my thing is, handle your business, do what you do what makes you happy, and all in that for it. And also speaking of millennials and young people, I've been seeing a lot of videos on TikTok and Instagram and everything else, except for Facebook. And sorry, y'all, I had Facebook. Some people reported Facebook, got me kicked off of Facebook for right now. So I don't have a Facebook, so I have to build my following back up on Instagram. Click like, share, add people to my page. That would be greatly appreciated. So I'm also talking to you guys out here in digital TV land, but I'm also talking to you guys out here in TikTok land. So the millennials are saying that they don't want to vote for Joe Biden because Joe Biden hasn't really done anything for Black people. So my thing is, like, what are you expecting him to do? We still have some work that needs to be done. Yes. Some of the highlights was they came up with the and they were saying that Black people did not receive crime bill. All we got was a Juneteenth holiday that everybody gets to benefit from, not just Black people, which I can understand. But at the same time, there are things and measures that were put in place, such as, him canceling student loans and still canceling student loans. And people got to understand, this wasn't a Joe Biden thing that didn't to make the student loans not get canceled. This was a Republican thing. They went behind back door and got them to vote against canceling your student loan. This was nothing but Republicans. This was Trump at his best and everybody that rose along with Trump. And my thing is, even, what's his name? Clarence Thomas, he was a beneficiary of affirmative action and other programs, but, he is totally against it. He turns his nose down against those things as if it's something bad. And as if, other people shouldn't, experience it and other people is not warranted. And to the young people out there, like the man said, don't fuck around and find out, if you put Trump back in office, because he's already said what he's going to do. He said that he's going to be, law and order. He's going to go after people that talk bad to him. He's going to arrest people that were against him. And that's not how democracy works. I understand that you don't like Joe Biden, but we don't want Trump either. So my thing is, the best thing to do is vote Democrat so that we can continue on the trajectory that we're on, because playing chess. When President Obama was in office and when people were telling you guys to vote for Hillary and y'all went out and y'all voted for Trump, we got 2 conservative justices on the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the law of the land. So if you don't understand anything about law, you need to look it up. So they have the majority. We have the minority. And so anytime anything that comes to help you guys at the local level, the Supreme Court can override it because they have all of those justices. They have 5 conservative justices and we have 3 or whatever. So we would never be in the majority, and that was done purposely. So when y'all think that Democrats are not doing things for y'all, and y'all think the Republicans are playing very dirty, and that's what y'all fail to realize. And I talk about this all the time with gerrymandering and redlining and them drawing the lines. They're cheating. They're changing the red line and they're changing the voting areas so that a Republican there and say Democrats are not doing anything. They want to strip you of your Social Security. That is not an entitlement program. That's a pay into program. Every time you get paid, they pay into that for you. So you have to understand that, that's something that, is something that you're paying into, not something that is given to you. That's something that they want to take away from you. So you guys have to understand that. Mark?
Yep, definitely got to understand that. And all along those lines, there was a special that was actually involving African American males and why some of them might be voting for that particular individual and all along those lines. So if you want to hold on a second, I can play this video that is actually sharing some of this. And it's like one of those barbershop kind of conversations and all along those lines. And I think that it'll add some insight into what you're talking about and all along those lines. Because there were some people that said that they would not vote for Mr. Trump, but they did have friends that would. So if you hold on, we'll check this out, and I think it'll add some context to what you're saying.
Black voters are poised to play a big role in the 2024 election, Black male voters in particular. And while there was a lot of excitement among Black voters here in South Carolina during the 2019 primaries, which catapulted Joe Biden to the White House, this time around there's some polling to suggest and some conversations that have been had about a waning excitement among Black male voters in particular. And some say that some of those Black voters could be in play for Donald Trump and the Republicans. So I wanted to sit down with a group of these guys to really see if their excitement had waned enough for them to consider Donald Trump. Let's take a listen. Is there a possibility that any of you could either vote for Donald Trump or some third party candidate? Is that a possibility?
Not right now.
Not for me.
Not right now.
I can't personally see me ever voting for Donald Trump, especially what happened with on the Capitol.
I don't see a world personally where I would vote for Donald Trump.
Right.
Ever. So a third party candidate, yeah.
Cornel West has a name in the Black community. I mean, many of us grew up reading Dr. Cornel West.
You know, I'm a fan of him personally. Politically, I'm not there with him yet.
There is some appeal there for some Black men with Trump. What is it?
Money.
Money.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Donald Trump has a reputation of being the money man. So
beyond the projection of a businessman, what is that is appealing for so many Black people, Black men especially?
I just think that Donald Trump, in spite of all the craziness he may have in his head, reading some of the things that he talks about with business, I can kind of agree with as far as business wise, because I'm trying to grow my business. As far as Biden, I haven't seen Biden really care about business like that. And my concern is having my business so that I can build generational wealth, so my kids can see and have something to take upon when I'm not here.
A lot of people admire the persona, and they want to be him. You know, they want to enjoy the perks that he has. He seems to always be able to circumvent the rules.
I think there's a lot of, generationally speaking, I think there's probably some familiarity with what he used to be.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know why people are riding for Trump like that.
You're hearing that too, that there's some people in your orbit who are either voting for Donald Trump or considering it?
For sure. A lot of my friends are obviously my age, so we're a little younger. We've only voted once, you know, for a president, and Trump is kind of all we know, and they're kind of Trump and Biden. They're like, well, we were broke with Biden, we weren't with Trump, and that's kind of the only thing that I'm hearing over and over again, is that, well, Trump, we had money. Well, okay, I hear you guys, but personally, I couldn't see myself.
The conversations I've been having, you know, these voters fall in three camps. Those who will vote for Biden kind of with a lack of excitement, those who are considering voting for Donald Trump, and those who are considering sitting out altogether. And it's that last group that might be troubling for a lot of folks who pay attention to this stuff.
Yeah, Tremaine Lee, thank you so much. And I want to let people know that this Sunday, there is an MSNBC special report, Black Men in America, The Road to 2024. Tremaine and Charles Coleman Jr. will take a candid look at the state of the country through the eyes of that overlooked voting bloc, Black men.
You heard them there. There was some people there
with
that
the Black
said,
men in America, y'all just as dumb as you know, the day is damn on. You think that you're gonna align yourself with Trump? You know what I'm saying? And you think that this man is going to align himself with you along any type of businesses or whatever. And the fact of the matter is, y'all didn't have more money with Trump. As a matter of fact, when he did the tax cuts and things like that, we all suffered, because I'm upper middle class. I'm not middle class based off of my salary. So we're the ones that receive the brunt end of, all of that foolishness that he put forth with the taxes and things like that. And so Black men was the one that put him, basically catapulted him to office. Black women didn't fall for that foolishness. But y'all want to so-called align yourself. My thing is, when he's out there talking about law and order and things like that, who the hell do you think he's talking about? He's talking about your black ass. He's not saying that, law and order for white people. Law and order means that it's on your black ass. That's what that means. So y'all sitting here talking about y'all want to align yourself with Trump and you want to do something with some business, you want to build generational wealth. First of all, Biden, if they don't even understand that Biden put things in place for people to receive this funding from the government and things like that. For a certain amount of Black people have to receive funding from the government. That was not there before President Biden. It was there under President Obama, but it wasn't there before President Biden. Men out there talking about, I'm considering voting for Trump. Y'all just as dumb as the day is long. So when your ass is getting shot down in the street and they're chasing your asses with the dogs and stuff like that, let Trump come out there and support your asses. Stop looking to the Black women to come out and support and do everything that you need, because you sit here with this foolishness talking about y'all considering voting for Trump because you can relate to him in business. Trump is a failed businessman. Trump has done nothing but try to beat the system, and now everything that he's done is catching up to him and to pay the piper. So my thing is with that, y'all sitting here talking about you want to align yourself with Trump. Trump has never aligned himself with anybody. Trump doesn't even like Black people. And if y'all really want to look at it historically, the Department of Justice has been suing Trump since the early 60s, 70s, based off of him not wanting Black people to stay in his buildings and apartment buildings and go into places of business and things like that. That y'all over here talking about y'all want to align yourself with Trump because y'all feel like y'all in the same category.
Yep. Speaking of people aligning themselves with folks, there is another candidate.
The most asinine things that I have ever heard, Mark. Some of the dumbest.
That's why I had to play it. I knew you would get your ire up and all on those lines. But just really quickly, there is another thing that political candidates do, and all along those lines, and sometimes it gets them some support. And she is definitely needing support as she is heading toward her election there in her home state of South Carolina and everything. But the other thing that happened this weekend is that the former governor of South Carolina and the current presidential candidate, and all along those lines, decided to appear on Saturday Night Live. And yes, she did make a joke a little bit about slavery, but she also talked about the grumpy old man, because it sounds like she's trying to play into this notion that both Biden and Trump are too old to be in the presidency. And she did kind of make a half-hearted response to the joke that she had said about slavery and the root causes of slavery and all along those lines. And then she's also recently been supporting Texas and their efforts to secede, because definitely with that whole immigration conversation, there's some notion of them seceding and everything. So I just wondering your thoughts, and if you watched it. I saw a little bit of it. I didn't see the whole skit, but I did see the whole skit. If you watch any of the skit that Nikki did on this past Saturday when she was trying to appeal and win some voter support, since she is way down in the polls.
She's gonna be way down in the post because Namaratu is her name. Nikki is not her name. Namaratu is her birth given name or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And no, I did not. For her, I don't like what she's in. I would not be watching anything other than maybe a presidential debate with where she's gonna be. So no, because my thing is, if there was no racism in America, why you don't use your birth given name? Why you using a white woman name? You know what I'm saying? If there's no racism in America, you should have Namaratu, which is your given name, on your your president. And you want to appeal to people talking about, oh, you're a brown girl, you wasn't allowed to compete in the pageant because you wasn't black enough, you wasn't white enough. Girl, bye. Ain't nobody trying to hear that BS that you are spewing out of your mouth. So you can go ahead and shuck and jive with Tim Scott, where you've been shucking and jiving at, you know what I'm saying, and keep it over there. And the lady name was Joy Reid, who I was talking about, who show that I watch and who I follow on Instagram and because Joy Reid always put Tim Scott in his place, because Tim Scott was, nominated by Nikki Haley and things like that or whatever. So the only reason they nominated him because they know he's a step and fetch. He's a yes master type black man, and he wants to be, he wants to be accepted, but he has to understand he's not being accepted, he's being tolerated, and there's a difference between acceptance and being tolerated. And you need to learn the difference. But quite naturally, he's not going to learn the difference. You show, his white fiance, not saying that, anything is wrong. That's all on you or whatever. But we already knew that he was going to be a step and fetch, and he would have one of them anyway. You know what I'm saying? So she's going to take him to the bank. They married about 2 or 3 years, and take him to the bank and things like that or whatever. But as far as Nikki Haley is concerned, she needs to go ahead and learn some American history. Since she want to say that the Civil War was not fought because of slavery. The Civil War was fought because of slavery. The Southern states did not want to relinquish their control over enslaved black people. So Nikki Haley, so you need to understand.
Yep. There's a group of folks.
A national platform talking about, America is not a racist country. America is a racist country, and it has been a racist country, and it's still a racist country. Yes.
No doubt. And there's a group that you talk about oftentimes because you talk about how they don't vote according to their interests, and I agree with you on that quite often. But apparently right now, and I can't say this is going to be the case forever, but one of the talk shows that is out there, that being Stephen Kilbord. I think he brought it, Stephen Kilbord, I should say. I think he brought it up on Friday and everything. But right now, women voters are putting Biden ahead of Trump. So they are apparently voting according to their interest and all along those lines. But we do know that sometimes they will change their mind and then to vote accordingly or not accordingly to what they should be doing. But right now, because of the abortion issues and Dobbs and some other issues, it does look like they are voting more for the Democrats than the Republican frontrunners. I was just wondering your thoughts, and if you still have a fear that come November, they might actually continue to vote against their interest.
I don't have no fear against them. They're going to always vote against their own best interest. They're going to vote for white supremacy. That's what they do. That's what they have shown when they voted that governor in Virginia, the new governor in Virginia. That's what they shown when they voted Trump into office. You know what I'm saying? Because, in Georgia with Fannie Wills, they're talking about she had a relationship with the prosecutor or somebody investigating Trump. So what? These are two consenting adults. Y'all let Trump stay in office, and he actually sexually assaulted women, and y'all didn't give a damn about that. So I don't understand why her is in the forefront and in the conversation, because if y'all really cared about what was going on with women, y'all wouldn't have put Brett Kavanaugh on, y'all wouldn't allow Brett Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court because he sexually assaulted a woman, but y'all didn't give a damn. And Trump sexually assaulted multiple women, and he had jokes about grabbing women by their pussies, grabbing women by their crotch, and y'all still allow him to be in office, and y'all still put him in office. So no, I don't have no fear about what no white woman is going to do, because we already know what that.
Yeah.
To vote for white supremacy, regardless of what she got going on or whatever, she's going to vote that way because she's a beneficiary of white supremacy. So no, we don't support that foolishness that they have going on. We don't support any of that stuff, but at the end of the day, when y'all coming over here talking about black women, y'all need to do this. Black women don't need to do nothing. We need to stay black, live and die, and do what we do. Drink our water, sip our tea, go on vacations, be with our man, and do what we do. And y'all gonna do what y'all do. Vote for white supremacy and vote for your So no, there's no fear when it comes to white women and what they vote for, because the numbers don't lie. They always vote for, the beneficiary, to be that beneficiary of the white supremacy. Oh, they're quick to say, we wasn't back there, during slavery. It wasn't us, but you got the money.
Yep,
You're the beneficiary of the money. You definitely have the money. So you're living with the money, so, all that foolishness about we need to stand as one, we need to sit together. No, black women, we stand as one. White women, y'all can kick rocks and y'all.
Speaking of which, I've got something to ask you about another popular event that will be coming up very shortly, and actually coming up before we do our next show and everything. But before I get to that, I was going to bring one of your favorite people, and yes, I'm being slightly sarcastic and everything, because she had a response to Nikki Haley and that SNL skit and everything. So here's Megyn Kelly and what she had to say in a response on social media and all along those lines to that particular skit and everything along those lines. So let's check this out and hear what Megyn had to say.
Ends with a lavery.
Yep, I probably should have said that the first time. And live from New York, it's Saturday night.
I've got serious questions about whether this was a good idea. I really do. What's next? The Daily Show? Why don't you swing by there? How about Scarborough? Well, tiptoe through those tulips. Rachel Maddow, Joy Reid. Why don't she go on her show? Like, I don't get it, Camille. I like the Vivek Ramaswamy philosophy of going everywhere and trying to get as many votes as you can. Just not sure SNL is one of the venues where there's any potential votes available. They brought up her recent faux pas, a stumble, whatever. It was a dumbass answer when she gave it. She tried to clean it up here. SOT 6.
I was just curious, what would you say was the main cause of the Civil War? And do you think it starts with an S and ends with a lavery?
Yep, I probably should have said that the first time.
She's just as dumb as the damn day is damn long. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I can't.
That it was not a great idea to go on Saturday Night Live and everything, and definitely she did not really address, except for the end of the slavery faux pas and everything. You had earlier talked about events that have been co-opted, and I kind of mentioned it with We Are the World and all along those lines. And I actually know some people in various cultures, including the European American culture, that are going this weekend, because we know that even though it was not necessarily started by us, but we are the majority of the participants, even though I do have a friend that I was having a debate with, because he says that the players rule the NBA, and I still say that the owners rule the NBA, and all along those lines. But what is your thoughts around this notion of something else that is co-opted, which is the Super Bowl, because they're coming on today and probably running all the way through the game itself. There will be a number of people descending on Las Vegas, and some of those people will be part of the other cultures that will be using it as a means to further their coffers, for lack of a better term. So it's definitely, sport is a big industry, and we know that it sometimes is an industry that we are the talent, and there have been some past people that have said we're basically just doing another form of slavery by being involved in sports. I'm not saying that's always the case and everything, but we don't have enough ownership in my mind, even though I got to commend the Big East, because I do think the Big East, which is a conference that Georgetown is part of and my alma mater Marquette is part of, has the most African-American coaches of them all and everything along those lines, or at least one of the top ones. But what are your thoughts to those people that are critical of us not being enough in management in the sports world? And we do know that the Super Bowl is literally this weekend.
Yeah, but the thing about it is we're not in those places. The thing is, like, a lot of the white coaches have never even, touched the football, has never even played, the sport or whatever. And they're, coaching, and, the reason they're winning is because they have talent. They're not developing players. And there's a difference. You know what I'm saying? When you take a player and you develop that player, then you are, a great coach. But, you already have, your team with the talent, and your recruiters are recruiting the talent. So there's not much that you need all by design. But I said for a long time ago that we need to create our own leagues, let them have what they have, and things like that, whatever, because they're getting rich off the backs of young Black athletes, young Black stars, and things like that, or whatever. But if we pool our resources together and make moves in black cities where we know that we can get ordinance passed and things like that, or whatever, we can step up and move ahead. But they're like black people don't own any sports teams, and that's by design, because they have to vote for you in order for you to buy into a team and for you to get a team. You know what I'm saying? So that all of that is by design or whatever, and like I said, we can definitely create our own, and things like that or whatever, and just do things our own, because when we had our own, we were in way better positions than a lot of people are and speaking of, like having our own, Dr. King, realized that he walked us into a lion's den, by fighting for, integration instead of segregation, because a lot of people didn't want integration on the Black side. They wanted segregation, but they wanted what we were promised. They wanted, the great schools and, great books and things like that or whatever. But, the white people was like, oh no, it's cheaper to integrate and, things like that or whatever. But integration just really hurt us to a certain degree. Take Emmett Till, for example, he got killed based off of a lie from a white woman. Rosewood got burned down based from a lie from a white woman. A lot of things happen based off of lies from white women and, things like that. And when I say, the psychologists need to look at, the behaviors of white men who are serial killers and who are all these and the relationships they had with their mothers, because that's the problem. The issue is, they had these issues with their mother. They didn't know how to cope and they didn't know how to deal with other things. So that's a problem within itself, when it comes to, society and all of that. But as far as, anything else, like I said, it is Black History Month. Happy Black History Month to everyone. And
definitely Black History Month. And speaking of Black History Month, and this is one that we had talked earlier about, and you said you want to talk about it, and we don't have to play this whole video because it's much too long, but I think that it gives some perspective and everything, and I'm going to play part of it if it's all right with you. But there was a conversation, it was only a few months ago, it was back in the latter part of 2023, of some young ladies that were talking about this notion that Donald Trump might be getting 22% of the Black vote and all along those lines. So hold on a second, we're going to hear from Adrienne Shropshire, and I'm pronouncing this sister's name correctly, but it sounds like we may be seeing too many of our folks going toward this space. So like I said, we'll just play part of it because it is a long one and everything, but let's just check out what they had to say about the possibility that he might be getting 22% of the vote.
This intense focus on what Black voters are going to do. A lot of articles suggesting that Black voters are going to break with the Democratic Party and are going to vote in large numbers for Donald Trump. Other articles out, the New York Times, Washington Post, other news outlets suggesting that Black voters are very, very frustrated with the Biden-Harris administration over everything from student loan debt relief to the Biden embrace of Israel in the Israel-Palestinian war. And some big name folks, people with platforms, in the music industry, in media, are out also suggesting that Donald Trump is the way to go in this next election and that Biden has let Democrats down, and particularly Black voters. So I want to talk with Adrienne today because she does a lot of polling, she does a lot of focus groups, and she has her finger on the pulse of Black voters. And I think it's so important that we start talking facts and not, being a part of this machine that continuously pushes out misinformation and disinformation. So thank you so much, Adrienne, for joining me today and for all the work that you do around this issue. It's so critically important. I want to start with this current NBC poll. There's a NBC poll, November 19th, November 20th, that says Biden still holds an advantage over Trump among Black voters. This poll has him up 69% to 20%. But in this same article, talks about all of the frustration that Black voters have with Biden on everything, as I said, from student loan debt to his position on this war in the Middle East. So tell us what you make of this NBC poll and then how we should read it in light of that poll that came out earlier in the month from the New York Times, I think that shocked everyone, suggesting that 22% of Black voters might be voting for Donald Trump.
Yeah. Well, I think that the way that we should look at this, and particularly, and I'll start with our 22% of Black voters going to support Donald Trump. Let's start there, because I think there's some other legitimate issues to talk about. And the answer to that for all of us is we should just look at what Black voters have done already in relationship to supporting Donald Trump. And the fact of the matter is that Black voters have not supported Donald Trump or Republicans even that Trump has endorsed anywhere near those levels, even though, before 2020, there were pundits and there were polls polls that suggested that Black voters were going to support Donald Trump at these new historic levels, and that simply did not pan out. Donald Trump was not on the ballot in 2018, and yet Black voters turned out to flip the House in Congress because of a recognition of what it would mean for Donald Trump to maintain control of the House of Representatives. So Black voters have done what they needed to do to both preserve our democracy, but also to preserve the potential for us to have a future as a community. So when it comes to Donald Trump and his policies and his ideas and his outrageous rhetoric. So we have to start there. That has not happened. There's no real indication that those numbers will come to be. And some of it, when we think about the polls, when they do polling, they're not just polling Black folks, right? They have a small sample size usually of Black voters from which they then extrapolate, the behavior of all Black voters. So the sample size is small to begin with. Secondly, I just think that there's outliers in the sample size, and what's in the sample size, and what seems to be happening to me is that the outliers within the small sample, we're taking that and we're saying, okay, so this is how all Black voters are going to act. And that small sample plus outliers just doesn't tell us anything. I think that there really is some legitimate concerns that Democrats should be tracking, which is that, like all other voters in the country, when you ask Black voters how they feel about the direction of the country, people are very pessimistic. And they're pessimistic for a whole host of reasons. And so we need to address those reasons. There's many ways in which there's kind of information barriers to Black voters. People are not hearing what the Biden administration has done. They're not getting the information. It's not breaking through in the places where they're getting their news and getting their
That's one of the things I hear a lot of people talking about is this notion of the message not getting out there, and there needing to be some better messaging, even from the Democrats, because there have been some achievements that have been accomplished. I know you talked about some of those achievements, but I don't know that they are talked about enough in the media, and particularly our media, and all along those lines. But you heard the young lady who is a pollster expert and some of the things that she was saying, but it does play to what we said we were going to talk about, which is this notion that there is a sizable portion. 1 out of 5. Voting.
Well, the thing is, like I was going to say, in every election, they always lie and say that the Blacks are going to vote a certain way, and we typically don't. Because Black females, we're going to vote Democratic. You may have some out there that are, some outliers who are, hard-stance Republicans, because we have seen that. But for the most part, Black females are going to vote Democratic. Now, in the previous election, when and Trump was running, most Black men voted for Donald Trump. For what? Because my thing is, you voted for a dumbass man over a smart woman. But, that was just because you didn't want to see a woman in power and things like that or whatever. But again, like she said, the outliers are out there, and it's only a small sample size of Black people that they're polling to, receive these answers. And so they're trying to put it out there as if that's the masses and what we believe in. And that's not the mass, and that's not what we believe in. And a lot of these young people who are out there saying that the Biden-Harris administration hasn't done anything, they have not been in tune with what has been going on, because they have actually done a lot. And the thing about it is, like she said, the message is not getting out there. I don't know why they're not getting the message and why they're not receiving what they need to receive, but they need to go ahead and dig deeper into the Biden-Harris administration and understand that they're doing everything in their power to make sure that we are okay. They're continuing to and things like that, whatever. This is a Biden-Harris thing. This is not a Trump thing. Trump told them that he did not want them to dismiss student loans. But the other caveat is to that they'll take your tax money and they'll bail out all of these corporations, and they'll give all these corporations money. Because what did they say? Corporations are people too. Corporations are not people. So, you guys, when you're out there saying, all this stuff, you need to really dig deep and dig down into what's taking place so that you understand everything that's going on and everything that has taken place in that nature. Because I mean, I don't understand why, I can see it on, social media, but you're not, but you can post on social media about they're not doing X, Y, and Z, but you're not receiving the information, what has already been done. A lot of times, a lot of these people, they're taking sound bites from what they hear off of, the news in some video, a platform and a stance with that. Y'all need to really, like delve down and dig deeper into what's happening, because you're wrong. You're wrong, Mark.
Nope, yeah, you're very wrong. And like I said, I'm surprised when I hear people talking about this notion of voting for that crazy person. And I do know some people that say that they literally are thinking about leaving. I was actually talking to a friend of mine that's in the white society earlier, and he was shocked that Donald Trump is doing as well as he is doing. And he said that if he gets elected, he and his new lady love may just decide to move out of the country. Currently, they live in California and might be moving to Florida. But if he wins, they're saying we might have to get out, might have to move to Colombia or Timbuktu. But we just can't see how this would happen, and all along those lines. So there are people even in the various other cultures that are thinking about moving out, particularly even some of our brown citizens, because we do know that they're getting a lot of flack for this notion of immigration and all along those lines, and getting shipped from place to place. And this whole notion, as I mentioned earlier, of there being the possibility of a civil war, because there's been some of these countries, including Texas, that are talking about seceding. And I hate to tell you this, but the governor of the state that you're from has said that he might back that place. So Louisiana governor came out and said he might back the Texas governor if they decided to go against the federal government in this notion of going against them on the whole border patrol thing. So you have to find.
You know what my thing is? My thing with that is more power to you. You back out of it, you lose certain protections, things like that. Y'all experienced it with the power grid, when y'all did the private thing with the power grid, and your bills 10 and 20,000. Whatever they're gonna do, because their heads are hard and things like that. So go ahead, if that's how you feel, go right the hell ahead. And my thing is, y'all talking about y'all leaving the country. Bye, go ahead, because y'all voted for this man in the first dang place, and y'all put him in office the first time. But with all these failed policies and all this other stuff, all I can say is the people that's going to stand up is going to stand up like we did the last time, and we're going to vote, and we're going to vote Democrat, because we already know what's at stake. Talking about, we had money. What money did you have? Because he changed the tax code. We paid more money when Trump was in office than we did when Biden is in office. You know what I'm saying? So what money are you talking about? What money are you talking about that you had? We didn't have any money. And the thing about it is, us middle class and upper middle class people, we're taking up on the brunt of everything. They were saying, like people who even have earned income credit and that child tax credit, some of those people are still paying because of, and some of that stuff can't be reversed, so y'all go ahead and fuck around and find out. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm gonna say, because I'm gonna be okay. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm in a tax bracket where I'm going to be okay. But for those of you who are in those lower income tax bracket, and when y'all talking about, Biden and Harris administration didn't do X, Y, and Z, and y'all didn't have this, what were they supposed to do? Go out and fill out the job applications for you, go and do those programs for you, go and, go to unemployment and participate in those for you to receive, like different things, or are they going to apply for grants for you? So, I mean, I don't understand, you know what I'm saying? I'm just, I'm clueless as to, where all this, asinine, conversation is coming from, because they're speaking out of, they're speaking, like they said, I'm talking out the side of my neck. They're speaking out the side of the neck, and you don't know what you're talking about. Like, honestly.
Is it the side of the neck, or is it that backside where a lot of our waste comes out and all along those lines? Because sometimes I think they're speaking out of that versus out of their mouth and everything. But speaking out of their mouth, and we're winding down and got another minute or two to go on this show before we go over to Maxine's show and all along those lines. But another powerful conversation. I think we definitely have to continue these conversations and figure out what the millennials are doing, and a number of other things that you've been bringing to our forefront. There is a bookstore on podtv.tv, and I will gladly tell you, Dr. Anthony, that I made sure that your book was on the bookstore, because it's all books of people that are affiliated with the network, as well as those that are there in other spaces, including some of our guests from shows and all along those lines. So as I was going through, because it's actually using my Amazon account, I was like, I got to make sure that my good friend Dr. Anthony has her book up there. So I made sure that Gator Park is up there, as well as your newer books. I think I've got 2 or 3 of your books that are up there that are on Amazon, so folks can get there, learn about your book, and hopefully make a little bit of revenue for yours truly while making some revenue for you as well. So definitely I am trying to promote the book and get the book out there. So I definitely put that out there in that space so that we can do a good job in that line and all in that way. But definitely a lot of folks are excited by the bookstore and by the updated website. I've got to make sure that they've got your picture, because I know you sent me one, and if not, I got to get one, because we're trying to make sure that are on there as well. But like I said, it's a good conversation, and I always love something that I have a great deal of respect for Dr. Anthony, and all along those lines. Your favorite catchphrase and all along those lines. So I'm turning this back over to you. I had a good time on this conversation as always.
You're breaking up, Mark. So the clock on the wall says this. I'll make sure you guys click like and share. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok for right now. I'm currently do not have a Facebook page at the moment. You know, I had some haters to report my page, got my page taken down and things like that or whatever. But, you know, we're going to continue to push through on the other social media platforms and things like that. So make sure you guys click like and share, you know, get your friends involved, get your colleagues involved, and let them know, hey, Dr. Anthony is the real deal. Truth. So once again, the clock on the wall says that's all, and we will see you guys back here next Monday. Deuces, my loves.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves.